We've heard it before, and I'm sure we'll hear it again, that on atheism, there are no objective moral values. Atheism doesn't have them. Atheists don't believe in them. Atheists don't have a grounding for them, etc. Here's a clip as an example of what I'm talking about from that one guy that you've probably seen around somewhere.
So on the naturalistic atheistic view, there really are no objective moral values.
Why, yes, without God, how could we possibly know what's right and wrong? If there's no God, then there's no absolute right, and there's no absolute wrong.
Objectively measure the morals that are objective. How do you know that you're not measuring a biological moral and you know that it's objective?
Right, that's the support for the second premise, that objective moral duties and values exist. And what I would do here is simply appeal to your moral experience. Don't you think, as you reflect on it, that certain things are genuinely evil, for example? Don't you think that it's wrong to torture a little child for fun, as opposed to loving that little child? Don't you think that that is a more plausible account of your moral experience than just saying, well, this is just a biological spin-off of...
But that's completely subjective. Appealing to the personal feelings that I have doesn't answer the question. How do I objectively determine that this moral is a good moral? It's objectively right or objectively wrong. Just appeal to my own internal self? What if I think it is okay to torture babies for pleasure? What if I think it's okay to rape people? What if I think, X, Y, and Z, whatever that is okay, and the rest of society is like, well, no, we disagree. How do I know I'm right? How do I know I'm wrong? Appealing to myself doesn't tell me that, not even a little bit. But if morals are subjective, then how do we know that this guy was really wrong? How do we know that the Aztecs sacrificing people wasn't a great idea? How do we know that stoning to death isn't an awful, vile, terrible way to punish somebody that is objectively wrong? What's that? Stoning's in the Bible? Oh yeah, lots of it. Does it say not to do it? No, it actually commands to do it. Oh, okay. Let's go ahead and ignore that one then. Look, ethics is difficult. There's a lot of different ethical systems to choose from, and each one has at least one, if not more, objections to it. DCT, Divine Command Theory's objection comes in the criticism of, I can't pronounce that name, your Thur's dilemma, which is that, pretty much. So, okay, there doesn't appear to be a solution in DCT then, but none of the other ethical systems are straightforward without some problem, and so that means that they're all subjective. What are we gonna do? Humans are complicated creatures. We are animals, and other animals do have morals. Whether or not William Lane Craig understands that or not, it's irrelevant. But we have gotten to where we are because our morals and our ethics evolve over time. Things that we once thought were okay, we don't think are okay anymore. And the things that we think are okay today might not be thought of as okay tomorrow. We don't know what the future holds in that regards. What we do know is that our actions or inactions impact those around us. And if we care about those around us, or even if we don't care about those people around us, we can still see that there is a consequence to what we do. And from that derive ethics and morals. And we've done that on our own, without any need for God, at least not in the sense that God has told us what morals are. At least not currently. Maybe God in the past did, but not in any way that I can confirm, so that's a problem for me and a problem for others that don't believe in God. And it's also a problem for people that don't believe in your God, whatever your God might be, because if they believe in a different God, and that God has different rules for them to follow, well, then you're back to square one. You both think you're right, so what are you going to do to figure out who's right? Both going to appeal to your deities and say, well, our deity said to do it, so it's right? What kind of chaos is that going to cause? Apologists love saying that they have the foundation that atheists don't. Well, what about other religions? Well, they also wouldn't have that moral foundation either, would they? Because they don't have the real God. So it's we're right, everybody else is wrong. That's all that is. But it's not that simple. This is complicated. Apologists make it too simple, and it's not. My view is, and until I get an argument to persuade me otherwise, will stay, that the way that we can view morals is that in regards to the goals that we have within our ethical system, whichever one that might be, you can see that as being objective. But the ethics that you select is selected subjectively, perhaps. But the ethical system itself is also made by humans, and so ultimately is at some level subjective, and there's no real way out of that. Even if you say, no, but God gave us our morals, our objectives, our ethics, yeah, well, everyone that believes in God thinks that that's the case, and nobody's been able to prove it yet. Humanity and society are far more complicated than apologists make it out to be. Even if there's a God, and even if objective moral values really exist, there doesn't appear to be any way to figure out what those are other than to appeal to holy scriptures, which then require interpretation, which puts it right back into subjectivity, which is probably why all the different denominations exist and why they all think they're right and the rest are wrong. Oh, sure, there's some theories that they agree upon, but they disagree on many others. So, what we would need is a logically coherent argument of what moral values and duties are objective. That would settle the matter. Or how about, I don't know, empirical evidence that your God actually exists? Or, I don't know, maybe a repeatable test on this to see which one is right? I guess that's just too hard to do, because for whatever reason God doesn't want to do that. So we're on our own then. We've been on our own for quite some time, and, well, I don't know. We seem to be doing okay. Sure, we could do better, and I hope that we do better, and I want us to do better, and I want to do better. But apologists, you seem to be lagging behind here. Just keep asserting that you're right and everybody else is wrong. That doesn't forward the conversation of ethics or morals, not even a little bit. And you don't have a valid and sound argument to show us which morals are objective anyways. And you don't seem to have any empirical evidence or repeatable test. And unless and until you do, we must remain skeptical of your conclusions.